Therapy Club, I am answering your questions. So I asked you guys to submit a question on Instagram, and I'm going to be doing a Q&A session today, which I am so excited for. So I'm going to quickly go over the topics. I've organized the questions into different topics so you can easily go to the topic that maybe you're struggling with or that interests you the most and listen to those. So first, we're going to be talking about finding clients, making money, and pricing. And then we're going to be talking about building systems, automations, and your workflow. And then we're going to be talking about marketing and social media and branding, and then editing, and then lighting, and then posing and directing. Yeah, we've got a lot of questions to go through today. So here's our first question. My issue is finding clients. When I do work, it's been at no cost since I want to gain experience. When is the time to say, okay, now I can start charging? I'm unemployed, so it's time to start making some money. Okay, this is such a good question, and this is a really difficult place to be because charging money is scary. I know that. And you're probably experiencing some imposter syndrome right now, wondering if you are good enough to charge money, which is a completely normal feeling. And I do want to say too, there's nothing wrong with working for free to gain experience. In fact, that's actually a super smart thing to do. So you're on the right track. Short answer to this question would be that the time to start charging is now. There's never going to be a right time. You're always going to wonder if you're ready or if you're good enough. And the only way to really know is to do it and find out. So I think a follow-up question or a deeper question might be how? How do you start asking people for money and go from a hobby photographer to a professional photographer? How do you find clients who actually want to pay you for your services? I actually interviewed a photographer on this podcast. His name was John, and he actually taught me something really valuable about getting clients when you're new to the industry or you don't have a ton of work. The podcast episode, funny enough, is actually titled How to Turn Free Work into Paid Work. So if you want to hear his story, I highly recommend going to listen to that episode. John did 150 free photo shoot collabs within just a few months. He told me that his whole goal was to flood the market with his content, and it worked. He photographed content for restaurants, so he would go out to these restaurant owners and ask if he could do a photo shoot for the restaurant completely free. And he even told me the goal with these collaborations was not to pitch himself to the restaurant owners afterwards. It was simply to provide value because he knew that other restaurant owners followed them. So he did this with 150 restaurants and created content around it. And even though they were free collaborations, the other restaurant owners on social media didn't know that. All they see is this photographer every single day posting restaurant photos. From their perspective, he probably looks booked out and busy. So they're probably thinking, I just saw this photographer photograph Jimmy's Diner down the street and they looked awesome. You know, I could actually really use some updated photos that would really help my business. John then told me that most of his business came from inbound DMs from people reaching out to him. And this is huge. Let me tell you why. So in marketing, you have inbound marketing and outbound marketing. Inbound marketing is when you attract people who are already looking for what you're offering. Attract being the key word there. These people are coming to you. Outbound marketing is when you're pushing a message or reaching out to people who may or may not need your services, like what John did, asking these restaurant owners if they needed photos. Okay, so just remember, inbound marketing is they come in to you, and outbound marketing is you go out to them. Inbound marketing is like opening a roofing and repair shop, and you put a great big sign out at the front of your shop that will naturally attract people in who are looking for roofing, and they choose to come into your shop. Outbound marketing is like going door to door as a salesperson, asking homeowners if they need any roofing repairs done. The problem with outbound marketing is usually people have no idea who you are, so they don't trust you and likely won't be interested. Have you ever gotten a knock on your door only to open it and find a solicitor, and your first thought is, okay, how can I politely tell you I'm not interested? While you can still get paying customers from outbound marketing, John's approach was to offer his services for free because he knew it would help him gain the experience and reputation he needed, and it did. Most of his business came from inbound DMs, meaning restaurant owners were now coming to him looking to work with him. He started with outbound marketing, reaching out to people, but then used that to create content on social media to attract people into him. So, my advice would be, if you don't yet have people coming to you, asking you for your services, do more outbound marketing and build up your reputation. And if you do have people coming to you, charge them. They're coming to you because you have a solution to their problem. They need photos and you have a camera. It's a business. And I will say, if you don't know how much to charge, it's okay to start small because I know it's uncomfortable. I did my very first paid photo shoot at $30. And once someone said yes to that, the next person who asked, I told them 50, and then 75, and then 200. As your demand and skills grow, it will feel natural to raise your prices. I will say this is really important though, because John was able to make a good amount of money from doing this, and it worked so well for him for one very specific reason. John did everything with intention. He did not just do any free photo shoot collab he could find. He specifically focused on restaurants, but not only that, he would only collaborate with restaurants who had 4 stars or more. From the start, he knew who he wanted to attract and serve. He helped a small group of people solve a very specific problem over and over again, which made him an expert at solving that very specific problem. Then became viewed as an expert by these other restaurant owners, allowing him to charge higher prices for his expertise. And that right there is the blueprint for building a business. The next question says, I want to start in-person sales, but I don't know when to give the full pricing info. I know we shouldn't lead with pricing, but I also don't want to hold it back. Yes, I love this question, and I think a lot of photographers struggle with it. And first, I want to say I completely understand you wanting to be transparent about your pricing, and I actually think that's a really good instinct. So if you're not familiar with in-person sales, this is basically selling products along with the digitals, and most photographers who do IPS don't put their entire pricing menu on their website. And it's not because they're trying to hide anything, it's usually for 2 reasons. The first reason is they want potential clients to understand the experience and the products before they ask them to make a financial decision. A website can only communicate so much, and it's hard to fully explain the quality of the photo albums or what an ordering appointment even is, or why having products matters so much more than just the digitals. So if someone sees your pricing without understanding everything that comes with it, then they might make a decision without having all of the complete information. The second reason is to avoid overwhelming people, because imagine landing on a website and seeing like 10 different print sizes and canvases and albums and wall collections, gift prints, and a whole a la carte menu. Most clients have never purchased professional artwork. At least most people I've worked with, I really have to educate them on what it's like. And so instead of feeling informed when they see that on your website, they would probably just feel confused. And when people feel confused, they usually don't make decisions at all. So what I recommend is meeting them in the middle. Be transparent by putting your starting prices on your website, or even an investment range, or even average spend, like the average client will spend this much with me. That way people can right away know if you're within their budget, so you're not wasting both of your time. And then after you've had a consultation where you've explained your process, you've learned about their family and answered their specific questions, then you can send over your complete pricing guide. That's exactly what I do. I share a detailed product and investment guide after the consultation call, and I encourage clients to look through everything before they sign the contract. That way, they know exactly what to expect and there are no surprises, and they can make an informed decision before moving forward. In your question, you said, I don't want to hold back the pricing. And having an in person sales business model, I think, is all about giving them the information at the right timing. And so being transparent isn't about giving every single detail as soon as possible. It's about making sure people have the information they need in the moment it's most helpful. Okay, moving on to business systems, automation, and workflow. This question says, I need help automating the booking process. Currently, lots of emails back and forth. Okay, yes, this is such a common struggle for photographers, sending emails back and forth, answering questions, picking a date, choosing a location. I've been there, all of the things. I know it can get a little bit stressful, and I actually love the example of Amazon and how they helped solve this problem in their business. So in the early days of online shopping, it was really common actually for every purchase you made to require customers to go through a whole long process. Like they had to add the item to their cart, they had to go to checkout, enter their address, their credit card information, confirm the order, and even returning customers had to repeat this entire process. So Amazon realized when someone's ready to buy, every additional click or decision gives somebody another opportunity to change their mind. So that's when they introduced the one-click ordering strategy that allowed customers to purchase with one click, and it removed the unnecessary decisions. So every extra step you have in your client journey creates friction, and if someone has to reply to 5 different emails before they're officially booked, that gives them 5 different opportunities to get busy, to forget to respond, or to change their mind. So instead of asking necessarily how do I automate the booking process, which that's such a good question to ask, I would start by asking, where is the friction in your booking process and how can I remove that friction? So here's what I would recommend. And I will say it does take a little bit of time to sit down and do it, but I promise it's worth it. Map out your entire client journey, every single touch point a client has with your business from the moment they inquire to after your photos have been delivered. When I did this last year, it gave me so much clarity. I wasn't constantly wondering what to do next. And it freed up a lot of mental space because I knew what the next step was. So I actually broke mine down into different workflows. I did my inquiry workflow, after the consultation call workflow, session prep workflow, after the session workflow. So for example, my inquiry workflow would look something like this. I would have somebody fill out my contact form on my website, and then they would receive a next steps email. For me, that next step would be scheduling a consultation call. So if you don't have a consultation call, that might be something like sending over your pricing guide instead. So once you've mapped everything out, that's when you can start looking for the friction and ask yourself, what emails am I sending manually every time? What questions are the clients asking over and over? And is there any information I can send over earlier? So after mapping out and analyzing my client journey, I sat down and I wrote out every single email and resource I wanted to send out at each step. And honestly, that's what took the most amount of time, but it was also what was the most helpful. So one change that I made is I started sending a brochure along with that next steps email after someone would send an inquiry. And so that brochure had some frequently asked questions, it had some client testimonials. Something like this might eliminate a little bit of that back and forth emails for you. So if you are wondering how to automate your booking process, I would start by first making sure you understand your client journey. And once you know every single step that your client takes, it becomes much easier to see what can be automated and what can be simplified and also what can be eliminated altogether. Okay, I'm gonna have to cut this episode short because I really want to take time to answer your questions thoughtfully and share my experiences with you. and it's 10:30 p.m. and I'm tired. I thought I could get this whole episode recorded, but this is taking longer than expected. So you'll have to come back for part 2, where we will be covering marketing and social media, branding, editing, lighting, posing and directing, and even some technical camera setting questions. So I hope to see you in the next episode.